Pro tip, guys, sometimes you just have to start off a new episode with some action because it's 7:30 in the morning and you'll be damned if you're going to talk to the camera at that hour. But no, welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is the 31st of October today, and we're just going to knock off a couple of services on these augers today because the race is well and truly on, guys. I went up to the Big Barley Blunder just up the back road here yesterday and took a very crude moisture sample. Granted, I didn't really have enough grain, but it came in at 10.5%, which is more than ready to harvest. So we got to get a wriggle on here today. I don't think I can remember us harvesting or having barley ready to harvest in October. I'm sure it's probably happened at some time, but we've gone from one of the latest harvests ever to one of the earliest, all in the space of, what, about 10 or 11 months. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. And in other news, we got to go pick up the 9770. They're done with that. I've got a couple of cameras to throw on the chaser bin here just for when you're unloading. So we're going to put one on the spout up there, up there. There is one already there, but the lead's all broken off. We're going to put a camera on the back here so that when we're traveling down the road, we can see behind if there's cars coming up behind us, make it a little bit safer. Give the tractor a bit of a clean up. We've got to go pick up a canola front from the neighbour. Whether we do that today, I don't know, but we've got plenty to get done. We need to get a wriggle on. Somehow one of those grease nipples up the top there has ended up pointing down. Should never let people finish your jobs, eh? One down, one to go. Yeah, I think they left the keys in it there, so it should be easy to get. So I had a couple of people asking me why this machine went into the dealer, and it went in to have a final drive rebuilt on the right hand side. So they did that. They also did some of the repair on the auger, just some basic things. They put a new hydraulic cylinder for the swing out for the auger because it would just creep back in slowly, and also it wouldn't sit back on its saddle properly. They also did the vertical unload auger gearbox because the bearings were absolutely flogged out, and I knew they were last year, and all those parts were being done under insurance. So when we put our auger into gear now, listen to that. So much more quiet. You do not get that horrible noise that they make. Still not the most quiet thing, but it's a lot better than what it was. So that's very nice. How many litres of oil to put back in you? That looks like a 10 litre container, and I wouldn't say it's half full, maybe about 4 litres in there. So we'll do a little bit under 4 and we'll see how we go. Well, I put 3.7 and I'm not even quite halfway up the dipstick, so definitely closer to 4. So these guys are ready to roll now, and they've had pretty big birthdays, both of them, to be honest. So these shafts along the back on both of them, they've had new bearings put all along them. We've had the flighting out of this one. You can see there's some new flighting being welded in there, so we've fixed that up a bit. This one here, the 50 footer, that's had the adjustable spout put on the end, so that just gives it the back, forwards and backwards movement. Greased, fluids changed, full of fuel, ready to go. And I don't know about you guys, maybe it's just me, but when I look at repair and maintenance jobs sitting back there like that, all done and dusted, it just fills me with a great sense of satisfaction. But it is 11:30 already, guys. I can't believe that. The morning has just gotten away from me, but I haven't had any breakfast yet, so I'm going to head up, have a bit of a feed and a quick rest, and then we're going to get back into it. I think we might bring that header in, get that bearing and that shaft out on that feeder house, and then get that all finalised. So if you've been following along here for a while, you would remember that I connected up to the front and I gave this machine a run, and I had a warning coming up on the dash saying feeder house speed 0, and I thought, well, what the heck is going on here? Because this thing was running absolutely no worries when I put it in the shed. I came down here and, oh, hello, Mr. Pulse Wheel Lock Collar. Yeah, very nice. So I've got a new bearing to throw on there. I've got some seals. I'm going to pull that shaft out and just try and get this all swapped over now. And I don't know, I haven't done this before. I think it's a fairly easy job, so we'll see how we go. You guys want to hear an interesting story? I don't even really want to talk about it, but anyway. So here we have some parts, which is supposed to be a new bearing for here. There's a new style bearing. Beauty, got a new style bearing there, absolutely wonderful. Have this locking collar here, not really sure what the go is with this, because it kind of sits on there, but it doesn't really lock onto anything, or I don't really understand how that's supposed to work. Doesn't look like the right locking collar for it. And then here we have another bearing, which is basically the old style bearing for in there, which means I think you'd be able to knock out the old bearing, put the new one in, and job done. But here's where it gets interesting. I thought that lock collar / tone wheel was for that bearing there. Well, apparently it's not. That is not the correct part number. So at the moment I have a whole bunch of parts here that I got no idea how it's supposed to work or go together. I'm waiting to hear from the dealer so they can tell me what the heck's going on. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why I tend to get online and look up the part numbers myself, because I find that I can generally often do a better job and end up with the right parts more often than not. Whereas sometimes when you do it over the phone, it's just lucky dip. You just don't know what you're going to get. Oh man, you can't make this stuff up. Anyway, I'm going to get going while I'm waiting to hear from them, get some cameras on this thing, and we'll try and get that done. Well, that's the easy part done. The screen's mounted up right in this corner here, so as you swing around to look out and line up with the truck and you're looking at the auger, you can see right here on your screen what's going on. Now, the reason that it's handy having the cameras on here, especially you put one on the unload auger, you can actually sort of see down where you're unloading. You can see into the truck, make sure you're unloading centrally. You can see into the bin that you're unloading into, so you know how full you are. We also use these cameras in the air seeder. There's two, like one in each bin on the air seeder, and you can run 3 cameras, I think it is, through here, but you got to kind of close everything down and go into a separate run screen, and you can only look at one at a time. This is a quad view, so we can have 4 cameras up at once. This will be much nicer at harvest time when we're unloading and stuff like that. We'll just have a bit better visibility, and also, like I said, it'll make it safer when you're traveling down the road and whatnot. So your job, should you choose to accept it, is to just take this conduit and just press it on here and just go along the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's just time consuming. It's not really necessary, but I like to do it because it just protects the wire and it protects it from the sun and everything and rubbing.
Yep.
So.
My shirt's caught.
I've only been wearing these shirts for like
15
years.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you either.
No, they've really stood the test of time, haven't they? Ah, my thumbs hurt.
Bloody thing.
Incoming wouldn't have hurt.
I'm all about the shock factor. See you later. Thanks for visiting. Say see ya. Oh, I don't think we're going to get a goodbye, are we? I think we should be okay. It looked like it was going to pull tight, but it's got plenty of slop in it. So this is my earth terminal. I've decided to, I probably could have connected this in the cab, but decided to do it out the back here just to keep the absolute bird's nest of wiring out of the cab. It's probably been a little bit more work, but I reckon it's probably worth it. Just putting a little dob of solder on there just so that that terminal can't come off, because it's just a crimp-on style terminal, but I pulled the outer covering off and I crimp it on and then I solder it. That way it will never come off. I don't like doing things by half, if you haven't noticed. And this will be my last connection. Bit of solder on here. Have a look at that. So the reason I wired up the power out here is because there's about 4 meters or maybe even 5 meters of lead that comes off from the screen up there. And I thought, I don't really want all that in the cab. And secondly, the positive and negative comes out just from down here near where the cameras actually connect. And I thought, well, these will be out of the cab more than likely. I want all this wiring out of the cab, so I'll just take my positive and negative off the back here, and we'll just keep everything on the outside of the cab. Let's give him a whirl. Oi! Have a look at that. Look at that, you beauty. That's a camera in the bin. Geez, it's not in the best spot, but I didn't mount that one in there, so anyway, it's better than no camera in the bin. Look at that, we can even see out behind us now when we're going down the road. Beautiful. Well guys, I was hoping to have this done about 2 hours ago, but there you go, that's the way these things go sometimes. So it's getting really late now, I'm going to call it a day. I think in the morning we'll come down and we'll get that header sorted out. I think I heard back from the dealer I should just be able to run with the old style bearing there. So I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning everyone. It is a brisk, breezy morning out here. So I think what we're going to do first thing is check some fluids on this, hit any grease nipples on it that need to be hit, and give it a clean up and get it out of here. She needs about 1 litre or so, I reckon. Wow, that makes reversing easy. Well, isn't that fancy? Well, that's a bit better, isn't it? Might duck up quickly and say good morning to the kids since I've been out since about 6:30 this morning. Good morning.
Oh, oh, that's sweet. Oh.
Fancy. Racking them and stacking them, ready for harvest. Although that thing does need a little bit of fuel in it first. So we're gonna go full circle here and come back, try and pull this shaft out and replace this bearing here now. We'll see how we go. Like I said, they did say, the spare parts guy was telling me that this lock collar / pulse wheel was not the right one, so, but then the mechanic said it is. So we're gonna give it a crack, see how we go. I think we are about to get very lucky here. Very lucky indeed. Look at that. That never happens. Ever. Bearing just slid straight off. You absolute beauty. New bearing in. Did not film. A few swear words were said trying to get the old one out, but she's ready to rumble. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is another job off the list, and that went almost a little bit too easily. It's almost too good to be true. Like I said, these things never happen. I was fully expecting to be fighting that bearing the whole way. I thought I would have had to have pulled that shaft out and maybe even cut it off, but sometimes you get lucky, I suppose. So it's been a pretty productive day and a half down here, but I'm going to leave this video here now. I'm sort of thinking that I would like to maybe have a try of some barley tomorrow. I'm going to run another moisture test this afternoon and just see what that comes up with, but we'll just wait and see how we go down here today and what that moisture test comes up with. But it's all happening, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. You guys have yourselves a good one, and until next time, see ya.